Hi, I'm Shanika Center, and I'm the Virtual Content Specialist for Middle School Science for multilingual learners and English language learners. These videos this week are all going to be student-facing videos focused on the research stations in lessons of week of 419. This is the first of 3 videos, and we're going to focus on research station 1 and 2. Hi everyone, I'm Shanika Center. I'm the Virtual Content Specialist for Middle School Science for multilingual learners and English language learners. Today we are going to be looking at your research for station number 1 and station number 2. This is from Unit 4, Lesson 18, where your teacher is going to ask you to use this research to help you learn about the role of genetics and the environment in different scenarios. So this first research station is based on strawberry plant growth. We're going to quickly talk about a study that looks at the different types of fertilizer and how each of these types of fertilizer affected the growth of a strawberry plant. Before we get started, let's review some vocabulary. So a strawberry is a fruit that grows asexually. So it grows through the ground, and one plant can turn into many strawberry plants. Growth means the increase in size and development. We're going to watch a quick video talking about fertilizer and the different types of fertilizer.
Put simply, fertilizer is plant food. It can be natural or deliberately put into soil by people. Fertilizer contains different kinds of nutrients that are essential for plants to grow. Ever since people started farming plants for food, thousands of years ago, they've had to manage the quality of soil on the land. When soil contains lots of essential nutrients, crop plants can grow fast and produce large yields. But when we harvest crops and then take them away and eat them, we take the nutrients too. So after years of growing plants, the soil can't support crops very well, unless we replace the nutrients using fertilizer. Most fertilizers contain nitrogen and phosphorus, though some contain other useful elements like potassium. They can be organic or inorganic. Organic fertilizer contains carbon, and an example of an organic fertilizer is manure. Inorganic fertilizers can take many forms, such as ammonium phosphate, which can be in a crystal or a powdered form. Since we learned how to make fertilizers efficiently on a large scale, we've been able to grow many more crops, and therefore the human population has risen dramatically. There can be problems with putting too much fertilizer into a natural system, and some of the problems with fertilizers are explained in other videos. So, a fertilizer is a plant food that contains nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, and we use it to grow our crops bigger and faster so they produce more food.
If you are looking at your graph, you're going to notice that there's 3 different types of fertilizer that are addressed. So the 3 types that you're going to see are inorganic, food waste, and paper waste. So inorganic is the type you can buy at the store. This fertilizer is made up of chemicals like nitrogen and phosphorus, as mentioned in the video. Food waste, which is often called compost, which comes from the scraps of food. So you put food in a container, and after a few weeks, after a few months, the food will break down into fertilizer. This fertilizer is rich with nutrients and minerals that will help your plants grow. The third type you're going to see is paper waste. So paper waste, it comes from paper. Any old paper that maybe notebooks, newspapers, books, documents from schools, all of this paper is put into a container and recycled. Over a long period of time, this paper will break down and become nutrient-rich fertilizer that can be used to grow and strengthen your plants. When you're looking at the graph provided, you're going to see different columns that represent the amount of growth and the type of fertilizer used. On the y-axis over here on the left, you're going to see how much weight your plant has gained. Once you analyze the graph, you're going to answer these two questions. Which type and amount of fertilizer led to the most strawberry plant growth? Is fertilizer an environmental factor or genetic factor? Why? In research station number 2, we are going to examine how corn came from the Teosinte plant. We're going to be looking at a video that helps us understand how our ancestors specifically picked the Teosinte plant because of its characteristics, and how they used the genes associated with those characteristics to make our modern day corn. Before we get started, let's review some vocabulary. Evolution is the process of species changing over a long period of time. When we're talking about a long period of time, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of years. We're not talking about a month or a year. And when we're talking about species, we're talking about large groups of organisms. We're not just talking about one cat or one dog. An ancestor is someone who came before you. So in the video, when they're talking about your ancestors or the ancestors, we're talking about people who lived thousands of years ago. Now let's watch this video.
So although now widely planted around the world, corn was originally developed as a local agricultural crop by Native Americans in Mexico. These people are harvesting corn. Notice the tall stalks, the large ears that grow. You can pull these off, and each ear has hundreds of kernels. Corn was originally developed by these people's ancestors who recognized the potential of a wild plant to give rise to a useful agricultural crop. Interestingly, that wild plant, Teosinte, looks very different from modern corn. So the seeds look completely different. The overall architecture of the plant also looks quite different. Wild Teosinte has a bushy-like appearance. Corn grows in these tall stalks. So very dramatic alterations in the architecture of the plant, really all of its features, bushy or tall, and its seeds as well.
Now that you've watched the video, feel free to go back and watch it as many times as you would like. You can also turn on the subtitles. I'll put the link for the video in the lesson. You're going to answer these two questions. How is the corn we eat today different than its ancestor, Teosinte? Are these differences due to genetics, which is your DNA, or environment, who, what, where you're around? Why? You're going to answer these two questions in your notes.